Okay, looks like we are live. I don't know if we got anybody waiting to check on with us. So I've not set up the second camera to record push-ups, so I might have to just do them right back behind here. Either that or you're just gonna have to take my word for it. So we are here today, and this is, what video are we on? This is number 5 in the series. Now you may be a little confused, and I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. So this video is number 5 in the boot camp series. This is number 3 in the set of basic SQL videos. All right. So the first video, if you recall, was his announcement, basically where he told people, hey, this is a set of 57 videos, going to teach you this, this, and this, about a 5-minute video. That was the big release last week. The second video was then the one he came out with like last month. Never really intended to be part of a boot camp until he got the joking idea at first and then the serious idea. But that was how to become a data analyst in 2023, where he outlined, hey, these are the skills that you need. Well, that then became the blueprint for the boot camp. So kind of a bit of a happy accident there. So I don't have anybody chatting yet. Let me just do a quick sound check before I run my mouth completely. Videos. Yes, I'm live. Yes, I hear me. Alrighty. So cool. Now I've got one watching. That's me. Okay, where was I? Okay, so the second video was the how to become a data analyst in 2023, then became the game plan for the whole set of the rest of what is 55 videos of instructional material. So we're now on the third SQL video. There are, all told, I think there are 4. I think there's one more SQL basics, and then he starts to get into the intermediates and gets into more complicated stuff like joins. So today we are going to go over the where clause. We've already done the select from, and then what else did he mixed something else in there? He put the as command in there earlier. So yeah, a couple of good things have been covered so far. Today we are going to hit the where statement. The where statement, of course, will cut down the number of results you get, let you put some parameters. And this is where we really start doing not really analysis per se, but actually kind of figuring out what data do we actually want from this data set. So with no further ado, let's go ahead and queue up Mr. Analyst. Add him to the stream and get him going.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Alex Freberg, and in this video, we're going to be going over the where statement in SQL. In the very first video, we created our table, inserted data into our table. In the second video, we went over the select and the from statement, and now we are on to the where statement. Now, what does the where statement do? It helps limit the amount of data and specify what data you want returned. We have quite a few concepts that we're going to be covering today. Let's just start out with something really easy. Let's do...
And let's start out with a set of 10 good old Marine Corps push-ups before we even start. We're going to do 50 for every video. I promised Matias Baudino. He says he's doing them as well. We'll see. If he gets super yoked before this thing is over, well, no. All right, first 10, let's do it. All right. The Alteryx shirt's a little baggier than the TMB Analytics one, so I'll have to get quite a bit bigger before I start stretching this thing. All right, so I've already queued up some of these, but it's going in. Let's back them up just a tad and go.
Today, let's just start out with something really easy. Let's do
I'm good with
where first name equals Jim. Really simple. So we're selecting everything where our first name equals Jim, and this is our output. So really, really simple. Now let's try where it does not equal. This right here says does not equal Jim. And let's execute that. And as you can see, we have everybody except Jim Halpert in there. So now let's look at the greater than or less than. So in this table, I think the one that we're going to look at is.
All right, so let's pause him right there and just go ahead and do that along with him. So let me change my inputs here. All right, so here we have, that looks a little weird. Let me share the application window. That's better. Okay. So you can see we've already typed that out. We haven't hit execute yet, but we're select star. So we're getting every column from, and these are just the prefixes they add on, do the settings. We talked about this last time. SQL tutorial, which is the bin, database, employee demographics, which is our table. And these are all 9 of our records that we've entered in. So where first name equals Jim with SSMS, you do single quotes for a string, and we're going to execute that. And it's been a while since I punched that in, so it disconnected, and there we go. Just like him, we've got Jim Halpert. Now, does not equal, it's a bit of an adjustment for me. I'm used to the exclamation point equal in Alteryx, but it's the less than greater than. And so let's execute it again. And we do indeed get all 8 records that other than the one for Jim Halpert. Okay, cool. So executed that. And that's pretty easy. Now we're going to do some inequalities. So let's check back in. Oh, I hit the video file tab again. I've done that several times now. Share screen, Adobe. There we go. Upper tab. Sure.
Age. So let's look at age, and let's do where it's greater than 30. And when we execute that, we're going to get everyone who is over the age of 30. Now, as you can see, we're not including people who are 30 years old. Everyone includes.
Obviously, Creed's not on there because nobody knows how old Creed is.
Equal sign right there. So we should be seeing people who are now 30. So before, Pam and Jim were not in there, and now they are. If we do the exact same thing, let's do less than 32. Here's everyone that's going to be.
There's some sound hiccups on this file. I've noticed that a couple of times going through this.
32-year-old, then we are just going to add that equal sign, and now the people who are 32 years old, like Toby and Meredith, are now included. If we want to go even further, we want people who are less than or equal than 32 and who are male. We can say where gender equals male. So now we have 2 things that we are specifying that we need. We need someone whose age is less than 32, and we need their gender to be male. So let's execute that. And we have 4 people who meet that criteria. So,
okay, let's go ahead and mimic that real quick. Okay, so I'm not going to go through every machination that he just did, but let's just say, so let's just do a little bit of that. Can't be less than Jim. Let's go less than 32 and execute it. Ooh, didn't like that. Oh, I'm still on first name. Silly me. Your strings and numbers don't mix real well. Okay, so we got 5 records, just like he did. We can try less than or equal to. I think it's the same. Nope, no, 7. Yeah, because we've got Toby and Meredith, both 32. One of these days, I'd love to see if anybody actually figured out how old Creed is. Okay, and then putting in the additional qualifier with the and modifier and gender. Mine is set to where I have to put in the square brackets, but once you start typing it, the prompt will come up equals single quote for a string, male, and execute. And good. Got 4 records just like him. All right, we're all caught up. Let's check back with him. Matter of fact, this is an 8-minute video. We are through 2 minutes. Let's call it time for a second set of push-ups. All righty, getting smarter and harder. Go back to Alex and let's watch.
So that's what the and statement does. If we write or, then only one of these criteria has to be correct in order for it to be met. So if we hit execute, now we're saying anybody who's under the age or equal to 32 or their gender equals male. So if we look down here, Michael Scott is actually 35 years old, so he's over 32, but since he is male, he is now included. Let's get rid of everything really quick. I want to look at this like really quick. So let's execute just that, and if you do that, you highlight just that and hit execute, then it will only run what you have highlighted. So now let's look at this whole table. Now, when you're using like, you typically are doing this for sometimes numerical, but most of the time you're using it for text information. So if we're looking at this right here, if I'm looking at last names, and let's say I want everybody whose last name starts with S. You can't really do that with anything else.
There's a sound hiccup there.
I'm going to say where it's like, and then I'm going to say S. And after that, I'm going to put a percent sign.
You're going to put in a wild card.
A wild card.
Yeah.
And if I close that off, what this is saying is I want every last name where it starts with
an S.
Where it only starts with an S. So let's run this really quick. Now we have two people whose last names start with S.
And Scott.
Now, if I put a wild card at the beginning,
Dwight would like to see them
we
together,
are now saying where there's an S anywhere in anybody's name. So let's execute this and see what we get. So now, even if the S is like Flenderson towards the end, it still counts. So you can specify multiple things in here as well. So let's say I want it to start with S. That would return Schrute and Scott. But now I want something that also has an O in it. So it has an S at the beginning, and then somewhere in there, there's an O. Now let's execute that. And there's only one person that meets that criteria. So you can do that for multiple things. You can even say OTT, and let's execute that. And he's still going to be returned. And if we put C at the back, it's not going to be returned because it follows it in order. So it isn't SOTTC. The C would actually need to go over here. So now we have SCOTT, and although there's a bunch of wildcards in here, it is going to return Scott. So that is a little hint at how you can use like. There is a little bit more that goes into it. You can use it for numerics. There's a lot of things that you can use this for, but this is just the basics, how you can use it today, how you can get started on using the like. In a nutshell, that is how you use like. And as
okay, so that's probably a good place to stop. Stop that screen. Present mine. And let's see, what did he do? So let's delete the whole where clause just like he did. Execute. Doesn't like that. Execute, and we've got 9 records. Okay. All right, so we're going to go with last name just like he did. And like. And then single quote for our string. And let's pick something other than S. What do we have? A couple of M's. Angela Martin, Kevin Malone. So let's go M, wildcard, close the string, and execute. And we do, in fact, have Martin and Malone. Okay. And then, if we do MA, they both start with MA. That's cool. And then after the wildcard, let's say we want only the ones that end in N. That leaves us with just Martin. Okay. And then if we do the tricky, like if we do a wildcard after it, it should still come up. Yeah, okay, then it brings them both back because then you've got Malone with an E, so the wildcard comes up. But then let's say after that wildcard, we put in an L. and we get nothing. Okay, that makes sense. Cool. All right. Should we do, it looks like a good time for get a little strong again. All right, let's do it. We'll drop the screen. We'll do some push-ups, and then we'll get back to Alex. So we used to have a saying in the Marine Corps. It was kind of an unpleasant saying. It was called "pain retains," and was often used to justify hazing, which isn't a very nice thing. But the concept was still valid, and that was that when you learn something, and then let's say you don't make a mistake. Let's say you just learn something, and then you put yourself through some sort of discomfort. You end up remembering that. So yeah, not the most pleasant concept, but sorry, just playing with the screen here. But anyway, putting yourself through a little discomfort right after you learn something, you're going to retain that thing. So, all right, well, some calisthenics, maybe a little run, cold shower, won't kill you. Let's go, Alex.
As I said before, you can use like with numerical data as well, but for demonstration purposes, I wanted to use text data. Let's get rid of this really quick. Let's look at our entire table.
Yeah, let's get rid of it.
And I wanted to show you how to use null and not null. I can't really show you how to use null because I do not have any null fields.
Yeah, you have to build nulls into the table
and make one null, but that's in a future video where it's a little bit more advanced, where you can start altering your data.
Cool.
But just for purposes of showing you what null and not null is, let's do.
The magician's got to save some of his tricks, for the final act.
Is null. And if we see that is not going to return anything, but if we say is not null, it's going to return everything because nothing in here is null. Nothing in this first name column is null. So that's how you use it. There are a lot of use cases where you actually will use null and not null. That will be in future videos, probably in the project section or the.
Yeah, it's not always a mistake. That's something that people
really
tend to get wrong.
Super well, but just as a demonstration, that's really all it does. It looks at the whole column and whether it is null or not null. That's really all it's used for. This is actually super useful, and you can use it in a ton of situations. But again, for demonstration purposes, that's really all it does. So let's get rid of this.
We're not going to copy along because that's
in really quick.
Just explained here. So I think he's going to work through it a little bit later.
Like the equal statement, but it's multiple equal statements. So let's say we wanted to say where first name equals Jim. And then we were like, wait, we also want to include Michael Scott. So then we would have to write and where first name equals, and then we would do Michael, and then et cetera, for anybody that we wanted.
That would be and, it would be or.
But if we said in, we could do an open parenthesis, and then we
I found Alex made a mistake. Holy crap.
We can say Michael. And
that
we
works.
can say as many people as we want going down the road, just separating it by commas. And if we hit execute, everything would be returned. So it really is just a condensed way to say equal for multiple things. So that is the where statement. I think the where statement can get extremely complex, but this really is highlighting the basics. So if you can learn all of these
concepts, we'll do that in a second. I think that's the last thing he does on this video.
The basics down, and we'll be set to go over some more intermediate and more advanced things with the where statement later on. In the next video, we're going to be going over the group by and the order by, and then we are done with the SQL basics, and then you can practice and work your way up into my intermediate.
I should make a fake certificate just for the basics courses.
Very shortly after these videos. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If you like this tutorial series, be sure to subscribe below, and I'll see you in the next video.
Yeah. So we're actually to the videos that are, so this one says 2 years ago. So we're under 3 years old, or 3 years vintage Alex the Analyst here. Okay. So let's just demonstrate that last one real quick. Okay. So we're going to delete that. We're going to start typing first name, or we're going to try not to screw it up. Start typing first name properly equals Jim and execute. Now what he meant to say is or Michael. Yeah, it's funny. The weekly challenge this week for Ultrix was a list of every line ever uttered on The Office. And you had to go in and find aggregate numbers from Michael, how many seasons, how many episodes he was in, how many. Oh, or yeah, first name. My cursor's going all crazy. All right, now let's execute. Okay, that's what he meant, not and, but or. Okay. Now, instead of this equal, we're going to go in. And then we're going to make a, if I could figure out my shift key, we are going to make a set. And in the set of Jim and Michael. And we get the same result. And then we could add Stanley, and spelling is crucial. There we go. All right. So that demonstrates the in operator, and I think we are more or less done. So yeah, that is the third out of four basic SQL. I don't know what he said. The next one was group by, order by. It says somewhere in the description here. Yep. Next one is group by, order by. So good stuff. The next one we're going to show, now that we've refined it a little bit, we're going to show how to group on certain categories and aggregate values. Super useful tool. And that's where you're really actually getting into data analysis with SQL. It's not just to pull data. You can actually do some analysis and show some things with it. So very useful tool. We are going to get deeper and deeper. The next video will finish the basic set, and then we are on into intermediate. Thanks for coming, guys, and I will catch you next time.